Today, I want to talk to you about dementia, a condition that affects how our brain works, slowly over time. And here's the part many people don't know: dementia doesn't begin suddenly. It often starts quietly, with small signs that show up years before a diagnosis. The earlier we catch it, the more we can do to protect the brain, live independently, and enjoy life fully. Now, I know this can be a tough topic. No one wants to think about memory loss or losing control. But pretending it's not there won't help. What will help is learning to spot the signs early, before they start affecting our day-to-day lives in big ways. Whether it's something you notice in yourself, your partner, or a close friend, early awareness can make all the difference. In this video, I'll walk you through 10 early warning signs of dementia that often go unnoticed. These aren't just about memory, they touch how we move, how we sleep, how we feel, and how we connect with people around us. You might recognize one or two in your own life. That doesn't mean you have dementia, but it does mean your brain might be asking for a little more attention and care. 1. Changes in how you walk, stand, or keep your balance. Have you noticed yourself walking with smaller steps than usual? Maybe you've started dragging your feet slightly instead of lifting them. Or perhaps you feel off balance more often, needing to grab a wall or a chair to steady yourself. These changes can be small at first, but they matter. The brain plays a big role in helping us stay upright, balanced, and steady. So when there's something going on in the brain, like early dementia, it can show up in how we move. You might find it harder to use a fork and knife without dropping them. Or maybe your posture has changed a little. You find yourself leaning to one side more than before, or hunching over without realizing it. Many people think this is just part of getting older, and in some cases, that's true. But if these changes happen suddenly or seem to get worse over time, they could be your body's way of waving a small red flag. Dementia affects not just memory, but also coordination and muscle control. When your brain struggles to send clear signals to your body, it can affect balance, timing, and even how you carry yourself. And here's the thing, these movement changes don't usually come with pain. That's why they're often ignored. But over time, they can lead to falls, injuries, or a fear of going out and doing things you love. If you or someone close to you is showing signs like shuffling feet, tripping more often, or finding it hard to hold a cup or button a shirt, it's worth talking to a doctor. It doesn't mean it's dementia for sure, but it's always better to check than to wait. 2. Problems with senses, smell, hearing, and spatial awareness. You might notice that your sense of smell isn't as sharp as it used to be. Maybe you can't smell your morning coffee as well, or the scent of flowers feels faint, even when they're right in front of you. This isn't just about aging. Scientists have found that losing your sense of smell, especially early, can be one of the first signs of Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. Another thing to watch for is hearing problems, but not the usual type. We're not talking about turning up the TV because it's too low. Instead, it's when you can hear the sound, but you can't make out what people are saying, especially when there's background noise. You might feel like voices are muffled in a noisy restaurant or that you can't tell where a sound is coming from. This kind of hearing difficulty can be linked to how the brain processes sound, not just your ears. There's also something called spatial awareness. That's your ability to judge space and distance. If you find yourself bumping into furniture more than usual, misjudging how far away something is, or having trouble climbing stairs or pouring water without spilling, it could be a sign that your brain is having a harder time making sense of your surroundings. So if your senses feel off, or you notice a loved one reacting strangely to smells, sounds, or space, don't brush it off. A simple checkup can help rule out other causes and give peace of mind. 3. Muscle weakness. What does that have to do with dementia? A lot more than you'd think. Your muscles don't just move on their own, they rely on signals from your brain. And when those signals start to get mixed up, slow, or weak due to early neurological changes, your muscles respond by getting weaker, even if you haven't stopped using them. This is especially noticeable in grip strength. Studies show that older adults with lower grip strength are at a much higher risk of developing dementia in the future. It doesn't stop at the hands. You might feel a bit shaky going up the stairs, or struggle to hold a pan steadily while cooking. Some people say they feel off balance, not just while walking, but even while standing still. That's because the brain is responsible for coordinating movement, timing, and balance all at once. And here's the thing, when your muscles weaken, you naturally start doing less. You might skip your daily walk, stop playing with your grandkids on the floor, or rely on others more often. And that lack of movement makes things worse, not just for your body, but for your mind too. There is some hope, though. Regular light exercise, even just walking or using light hand weights, can keep your brain and muscles connected. It's like giving your brain and body a reason to keep working as a team. 4. Sleep changes. One of the early warning signs of dementia is sleep disruption. This can show up in different ways. Some people start waking up multiple times at night without any reason. Others lie in bed for hours, unable to fall asleep, even when they feel tired. And some sleep more during the day than usual, even taking naps when they never used to. If that sounds familiar, it's worth paying attention to. You might also experience restless movements while sleeping, like kicking, tossing, or even talking in your sleep. These are not just quirky habits. They can be linked to deeper problems in how the brain regulates sleep cycles. One sleep disorder, called REM sleep behavior disorder, is often connected to dementia, especially a type called Lewy body dementia. Another thing to watch for is vivid dreams or nightmares that feel unusually real or disturbing. Waking up confused or feeling disoriented is another red flag, especially if it happens regularly. You may wonder why this matters so much. Here's why: when you sleep, your brain goes to work, clearing out waste and repairing itself. Deep sleep helps your brain stay sharp, focused, and emotionally balanced. But if you're not getting enough of that good quality sleep, your brain doesn't get the time it needs to reset. Over time, this can lead to memory loss, mood changes, and yes, cognitive decline. 5. Pulling away from people. One of the earliest emotional signs of dementia is something called apathy. It's more than feeling sad or tired, it's a lack of interest in life. The person may stop doing things they used to love. Maybe they don't call friends like they used to. Maybe they sit in front of the TV all day without really watching anything. They might even stop showing interest in family events or seem quiet during conversations. It's not that they're upset, it's like they just don't feel the urge to join in. This kind of behavior often gets confused with depression or even just aging. But there's a difference. With depression, a person often knows they're feeling low and wants help. With apathy from dementia, they might not even realize they've changed. They're just there, not upset, not happy, just withdrawn. Sometimes, you'll notice smaller things too. Like less emotion when something good or bad happens. They might not react to jokes, happy news, or even sad moments the way they used to. They might stop dressing up, forget daily routines, or not care if the house is messy. It's like the spark is fading a bit. What's causing this? Dementia affects parts of the brain that manage motivation, emotions, and social connection. When those areas begin to change, the person loses interest, not just in others, but in life itself. That's why it's so important to catch this early. 6. Trouble finding words. Have you ever been in the middle of saying something, and suddenly the word just disappears? You know what you want to say, but the word won't come out. That happens to everyone once in a while. But when it starts happening more often, and with simple, everyday words, it may be something to pay attention to. One of the most recognized early signs of dementia is called aphasia. That's a medical word, but it simply means trouble with speaking or understanding language. And it often starts quietly. You might notice you're saying the wrong word, like calling a shirt a jacket, or saying thing instead of the actual item. Or maybe you pause often, trying to remember what you were about to say, and those pauses get longer over time. Sometimes, people begin to repeat the same words or phrases in the same conversation, without realizing they're doing it. Others might forget names of people they've known for years, even family members, and cover it up by using general words like he, she, or that one. What's happening here? Dementia affects the brain's ability to find and organize words. That makes it harder to speak clearly, tell stories, or even follow conversations. And over time, this can lead to frustration, not just for the person experiencing it, but also for their loved ones. In group settings, people with early dementia might grow quiet, not because they're shy, but because keeping up with the conversation becomes too tiring. They might nod along or smile even when they don't fully understand what's being said. This symptom doesn't show up the same way for everyone. Some people mix up words. Others get stuck mid-sentence. And some might stop joining conversations altogether. But whatever form it takes, it's important not to brush it off as just aging. 7. Repeating questions or misplacing things in odd places. Let's talk about something that often gets laughed off, but shouldn't be. If you or someone you know keeps asking the same question again and again, even after getting the answer, it may not just be forgetfulness. And if items like phones, glasses, or keys keep turning up in strange places, like the freezer, a sock drawer, or the bathroom cabinet, that's a sign worth paying attention to. We all misplace things now and then. That's normal. But with dementia, it's different. The person doesn't just forget where they put something, they also can't retrace their steps to find it. So instead of thinking, "Oh, I last had my wallet in the kitchen," they truly have no memory of using it. When they can't find it, they may grow frustrated and start to accuse others of stealing or moving their things, even when no one has touched them. Repetitive questioning is also common in early dementia. For example, someone might ask, "What time are we leaving?" And then ask it again 2 minutes later, and again 10 minutes after that. It's not because they're trying to be difficult. It's because their brain isn't storing new information properly. They honestly don't remember that they already asked, and got an answer. This kind of behavior can be hard for family and caregivers. You might feel annoyed or confused, especially when it happens over and over. But it's important to remember, it's not intentional. It's a change in how the brain is working, and it's one of the early signs that should never be ignored. 8. Mood swings and personality changes. A person who used to be cheerful and friendly might start getting easily irritated or suspicious. Someone calm and patient might suddenly feel anxious, upset, or even angry over small things. You might notice they don't laugh at the same jokes, or they seem distant or uninterested, even around close friends and family. They may even start to believe that others are against them or taking their things, even when there's no reason. These mood shifts often don't match the situation. For example, a slight change in plans might lead to an outburst. A minor misunderstanding might trigger tears or a complete withdrawal from conversation. And often, the person themselves doesn't seem to realize they're acting differently. That's because dementia affects the parts of the brain that help us manage emotions, judgment, and behavior. As these areas begin to change, the person may not be able to regulate feelings the way they used to. It's not just about having a bad day. These are deeper, more persistent emotional changes that don't go away easily. In some cases, the person might also lose interest in things that once brought them joy. They may stop showing affection, avoid social gatherings, or respond with a blank expression when others are excited or sad. This emotional flatness can feel very out of character, and very difficult to accept for loved ones. Mood and personality changes can be early indicators of cognitive decline, and catching them early gives the best chance for helpful support and care. 9. Confusion about time and place, getting lost or feeling disoriented. It's when someone seems to completely lose their sense of time, or they can't recognize familiar places, even ones they've known for years. For example, someone might ask what month it is, then ask again just minutes later. They might think it's morning when it's evening, or believe it's 1985 instead of today. Some may get dressed for church on a Thursday, or ask about a family member who passed away years ago as if they're still alive. You might also see them wander out of the house, only to forget where they were going or how to get back. Even a walk around the block or a trip to the grocery store could turn into a frightening situation if they become disoriented. It can happen even in places they've been to 100 times before. This confusion is not just forgetfulness, it's a disconnect between memory, awareness, and judgment. The brain is struggling to keep track of time and space, which are things most of us take for granted. It's also why many people with dementia might end up in unsafe situations, like leaving the stove on, walking outside without shoes, or forgetting why they entered a room. Another part of this is what we call time shifting. The person may begin talking about the past as if it's happening now. They may refer to their childhood home, ask to visit parents who are long gone, or believe they're back in a job they retired from decades ago. To them, it feels real in the moment. 10. Hallucinations. Now, this doesn't happen to everyone with dementia, but when it does, it's a strong signal that the brain is being affected in deeper ways. Someone might say they see people in the room, hear voices calling them, or smell things like smoke or food when nothing is there. And to them, it feels completely real. This can happen most often in later stages of dementia, especially with certain types like Lewy body dementia or advanced Alzheimer's. But sometimes, it shows up earlier than expected. What's difficult is that hallucinations can lead to fear or confusion. A person might become paranoid, thinking someone is trying to hurt them or steal from them. They might get angry or withdrawn because they're reacting to things others can't see or hear. This puts a lot of stress on both the person and their family. Sometimes, hallucinations are calm or harmless, like hearing a favorite song or seeing a friendly face. But other times, they can cause real distress. The person might argue, cry, or become defensive about what they think is happening. And when others tell them it's not real, it may just confuse or upset them even more. It's also important to note, not all hallucinations mean dementia. Infections, medication side effects, or even lack of sleep can also cause these experiences. That's why it's so important to talk to a doctor if someone starts seeing or hearing things that don't seem to have a clear cause. How to reduce dementia risk. Even though there's no cure for dementia yet, the good news is, you can still do a lot to protect your brain. And these aren't complicated things. They're small daily habits that, over time, help your mind stay clear, your memory stay sharp, and your independence last longer. Let's start with something simple but powerful: keep your brain active. Just like your body, your brain needs regular exercise. You don't have to do anything fancy. Read a book. Do a crossword. Play a game of cards. Try a puzzle. Or learn something new, like a language or even a hobby you've always been curious about. When you challenge your brain, you build something scientists call cognitive reserve. That means your brain gets better at working around problems and staying strong, even as you age. Next, let's talk about moving your body. Regular physical activity, even just a brisk 20-minute walk each day, can make a huge difference. Exercise boosts blood flow to the brain, helps reduce inflammation, and encourages the growth of new brain connections. You don't need a gym. Walking, gardening, dancing in your living room, it all counts. Now, your diet matters too. Focus on foods that protect the brain. That means lots of leafy greens, berries, nuts, olive oil, and fish like salmon. These are all part of what's called the Mediterranean or Mind diet, and research shows they help lower the risk of memory loss. Try to cut back on processed foods, sugary drinks, and fried stuff. Think of food as fuel for your brain, not just your body. And don't forget about sleep. Quality sleep is one of the best gifts you can give your brain. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of good sleep every night. When we sleep deeply, our brain clears out waste that builds up during the day, including proteins linked to Alzheimer's. If you're not sleeping well, talk to your doctor. It could be sleep apnea, stress, or something else worth treating. Finally, avoid things that harm brain health, like smoking or excessive alcohol. These don't just hurt your lungs or liver, they damage your brain too. If you've struggled with either, it's never too late to cut back or quit. Your brain will thank you. These small daily choices can't guarantee you'll avoid dementia, but they absolutely reduce your risk and support a stronger, healthier brain for the years ahead. Let's end on a hopeful note, because while dementia is still a serious condition, there's a lot of progress being made, and some of it is truly exciting. Scientists and doctors around the world are working hard to not just manage dementia, but to slow it down, and maybe one day, even stop it. In recent years, new medications have been developed that offer real hope to people in the early stages of Alzheimer's disease. Two of the most promising are lecanemab and donanemab. These are a type of medicine called monoclonal antibodies. They're designed to find and remove harmful substances in the brain called beta-amyloid plaques. These plaques are one of the main things that build up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's and are believed to damage memory and thinking. These drugs don't cure dementia, but studies show they may slow down the decline, which can mean more time to stay independent, more time with family, and more time to enjoy life. These treatments are still new and not for everyone, but they represent a big step forward in how we fight this disease. Beyond medications, researchers are also exploring other exciting areas, like gene therapy, which could one day help prevent dementia in people who are more at risk. There are also studies on brain stimulation therapies, where gentle electrical pulses are used to activate certain parts of the brain and improve memory. And don't forget, many breakthroughs are happening in early detection tools too. Doctors can now spot signs of dementia through brain scans, blood tests, and even eye exams, long before symptoms become severe. That means treatment can start sooner, and lifestyle changes can have a bigger impact. The most important takeaway? There is hope. A diagnosis today is very different from what it was 20 years ago. More options, more support, and more knowledge are available than ever before. But no matter what science discovers, the best tool we have is awareness. Recognizing the early signs, getting help early, and making brain-friendly choices every day, that's how we protect our minds and live with strength, dignity, and joy. Thank you for staying with me through this important conversation. If you found this helpful, I'd love to know, which part gave you the most hope today? Please leave a comment and share your thoughts. Your voice matters. Here's a warm, informative, and SEO-friendly YouTube description tailored to your video, which gently invites older viewers to engage while summarizing key value points. Brain 10 Early Signs of Dementia You Should Never Ignore Must-Know Health Tips for Seniors. Dementia doesn't happen overnight. It often starts years earlier with small changes that are easy to overlook, but knowing what to watch for can make all the difference. In this video, we gently walk you through 10 early warning signs of dementia that older adults and their families need to recognize early. From memory slips and personality shifts to changes in balance, speech, sleep, and everyday habits, these signs may be your brain's way of asking for help. The sooner you notice them, the better your chances of protecting your independence and quality of life. We'll also share heavy checkmark what to do if you notice these symptoms. Heavy checkmark simple lifestyle habits that support brain health. Heavy checkmark new research and treatments bringing real hope. Backhand index pointing right. Have you or a loved one noticed any of these changes? Comment below with yes or no, your story may help someone else. Bell. Don't forget to subscribe to Wise Worthy and turn on notifications so you never miss helpful health tips just like this. Let me know if you want a shorter version too, or 10 image prompts next.